Hey 49ers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Chat Sports, and today, let's take a look at 15 possible free agent targets our 49ers could look at in the upcoming March free agency in the NFL. Big picture-wise, though, let's go ahead and jump right in. The 49ers are projected to have about $30 million in cap space. Now, that can go up, that can go down, depending on what they do with some in-house players. They could do some restructuring like they did with Quan Alexander a couple of weeks ago, which would essentially give them more money, but $30 million is right about the spending money we're going to have for this offseason. Most of it, most likely, will be spent in-house. We've done whole videos and talked about how Arik Armstead's a free agent, Emmanuel Sanders is a free agent, Jimmie Ward's a free agent. They can just spend all of that in-house, but if they want to dip into free agency, we know the needs that they have, so here are 15 players they could go ahead and target. I want to start with a bunch of wide receivers, and the first one I'll flash up here is like the biggest long shot of the entire offseason, but I'm going to put it up here because you could technically still do it. If San Francisco did not want to re-sign Arik Armstead and did not want to re-sign Emmanuel Sanders, Amari Cooper could be on the table if Dallas is unable to re-sign him. We know if they do lose Emmanuel Sanders, they could use another wide receiver because Hurd and Samuel and Trent Taylor are like the only real, good wide receivers you have on this team. But if Emmanuel Sanders wants to leave, or does end up leaving because it says he wants to stay, and that's proven fact, he said that a couple of weeks ago, then you could take a look at a guy like Amari Cooper, who arguably is the best wide receiver in free agency, one of the best free agents overall this season with Dallas. Again, a lot of things have to happen, but I would not be surprised if San Francisco wants to take at least a look at Amari Cooper if they let, Emmanuel Sanders go, and if Amari Cooper is a free agent. Remember, they were linked to Odell Beckham Jr., they were linked to Antonio Brown, they were linked to a big-name wide receiver, and this is the biggest name that there is. And so if the Niners wanted to get really crazy and go ahead and sign one of the biggest free agents out there, you could go ahead and take a look at Amari Cooper. Don't want to spend Amari Cooper money? How about the next wide receiver target, A.J. Green, 32 years old. He's not going to be franchise tagged. He will become a free agent. Injured last season, injured part of 2018, so that means he's going to be a little bit cheaper in terms of that than paying for Amari Cooper. Still, in 9 games in 2018, 46 catches, 694 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's very similar to what Deebo Samuel and Emmanuel Sanders did the entire 2019 season. So he would be a massive, massive upgrade at wide receiver. Yes, he's old, but I think all of us would take him on, what, a 2-year, $10 million deal, a 2-year, $8 million a year deal, 2-year, $12 million a year deal. I mean, you could get him at a discounted price if you wanted to go someone a little bit older, but obviously proven when healthy to be one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. How about another one? Robby Anderson. This is your young, good, cheap target that you can get in free agency. He's good down the field. He's a down-the-field threat. The majority of his catches come via deep balls, and he's going to have a lot of interest from other teams, but he's still not going to be as expensive as a guy like an Amari Cooper. He's much younger in terms of free agency, and when you look at him compared to Emmanuel Sanders, at least this past season, very similar total and overall numbers. 66 catches for Sanders, 52 for Anderson. Anderson has less yards, but more yards per catch, obviously showing that he's more of a deep ball threat than Emmanuel Sanders was. Again, this is if you want to let go of Emmanuel Sanders. If you keep Emmanuel Sanders, you re-sign him, none of these guys will actually matter, but these are 3 wide receiver targets you could look at if you want to go ahead and upgrade at wide receiver and let Emmanuel Sanders walk. Some other notable wide receivers in free agency: Breshad Perriman from Tampa Bay, Randall Cobb, Nelson Aguilar from Philly, and the aging but ever, true-handed Danny Amendola as well. Quick ad break here on YouTube. Don't worry about it. Scroll down. Answer the pinned question down below. Should the 49ers sign a replacement wide receiver if Emmanuel Sanders leaves? What do you guys think? If they let Emmanuel Sanders walk, should they go ahead and get a new wide receiver in free agency? Let me know in the comment section down below. All right, so after wide receiver, another big area of need if the 49ers do not sign their in-house guys, a.k.a. Jimmie Ward, is the safety and defensive back area. So here's a couple of safety and defensive back targets they could look at. Big name, Anthony Harris, best cover safety in the league last year, according to Pro Football Focus. And if the Niners lose Jimmie Ward, this is a guy who can not only play safety and is great covering, but can also play in the slot as well, which we know a lot of safeties are able to do, and the ones that are more elite are the ones that can do backside and also come up and play bump and run in the slot as well. The secondary is, it's good, right? Sherman, they have Emmanuel Mosley and Tart, but if you were to lose a guy like Jimmie Ward, then that means Moore is going to be your backup free safety at that spot, which means you kind of want to upgrade that as well. We talked about possibly Grant Delpit in the draft. There's a lot of options here if you let Jimmie Ward walk. But again, you want to make a big splash, get the #1 secondary piece this offseason, #1 safety this offseason. Anthony Harris is a real option for our 49ers. You want to get a new cornerback? How about Chris Harris Jr.? He's aging. He's going to be 31 years old, coming off his worst season in Denver as a Denver Bronco, but still can play in the slot and can play outside, and still has a couple of good years left in him as well. Compare him to Richard Sherman, Sherman stats this past year. Sherman played less games and had more interceptions and more tackles, but Harris is still proven to be a really good wide receiver in the National Football League. You can throw other notable cornerback names like Byron Jones or Logan Ryan from Tennessee. They're available, but Chris Harris could be a cheaper, older option in the secondary if you want to go ahead and let somebody go like Jimmie Ward, or if you just want to have some depth there because you don't trust Ahkello Witherspoon as your backup cornerback, as we saw later on this season. Another secondary target, how about the Denver's Justin Simmons, which was a big breakout player at the free safety, or at the safety spot, I should say. In 2019, he was a Pro Football Focus first-team All-Pro, only 26 years old. There's talks that Denver might franchise tag him, so he's a free agent right now. But again, you know, franchise tags will all come down. He's a very likely franchise tag option. But in terms of a younger safety option, this is a very, very good one in Justin Simmons. Is he better than Jimmie Ward? He's rated better than Jimmie Ward. But at the same time, it's like, maybe you just keep Jimmie Ward if you want to go after someone like Anthony Simmons, but again, Justin Simmons, but again, we'll throw him out there because he's another target in the secondary the 49ers could go ahead and take a look at. The final one, again, is an older option at safety, Devin McCourty, who of course has a twin brother playing for the New England Patriots. They played together. 33 years old, he plays all over the field. Go in the box, go in the slot, outside, back deep. I mean, he's a great, great overall secondary player and played alongside a bunch of really good players in a top 10, top 5 defense in New England this year. Another cheaper option because he's older, much like A.J. Green, but still, if you're in win-now mode like San Francisco is, you can go ahead and get someone like this, throw him on the team, and they'll have instant impact in the 2020 season. Other notable secondary targets to throw in here, Clinton Dix, one more here before we move on. He took a short-term deal with the Bears, kind of a prove-it deal. He played well. He's always been a solid safety, not like a superstar safety like Earl Thomas was with the Seattle Seahawks, but the former first-round pick of the Green Bay Packers is still a solid overall safety. He's another option if you want to go ahead and take a look at him in free agency if you're San Francisco. Other notable secondary players, Trey Boston, Carl Joseph, Demarius Randall, and James Bradbury are all getting a lot of looks right now in terms of the top secondary players that you could also throw some money at. But again, if you don't sign Jimmie Ward, I would suspect them to either draft somebody or go ahead and grab one of these guys this offseason. Before we move on, subscribe to 49ers Report. I think we're like 300 subs away from 15,000 subscribers, which is absolutely huge. So go ahead and click the red subscribe button. The big red one down below, we greatly appreciate that. And also, if you guys want to bet on some other sports besides our 49ers, because this is the offseason, go to chatsports.com/bet, use our promo code 49ers. You'll get a 120% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up, meaning put $100 down, you get $220. Daytona 500 is coming up this weekend. There's some great basketball coming up this weekend. A lot of things to bet on, so go ahead and sign up for the first time. BetDSI, chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code 49ers. Okay, so we already talked about what you do if you let go of Emmanuel Sanders. We just talked about what you do if you let go of Jimmie Ward. Here are some options if you let go of Arik Armstead. And the first one would be a massive long shot, like a 2% chance of signing him, but you'd have to take a look. Jadeveon Clowney. He's the best free agent pass rusher in the NFL free agency, besides probably Arik Armstead, who, of course, is on our team right now. He played for the rival Seahawks last year. He's great against the pass, of course, and really good against the run. Was injured last year, had a core muscle injury, so didn't play a ton. You compare his stats to Arik Armstead's. He had a lot less sacks, a lot less tackles, but still more fumbles and very close in quarterback hits. We know he's a game wrecker. He's the one defender on Seattle this past year, besides Bobby Wagner, you had to really circle in on. And so if you wanted to go and steal somebody from your in-town rivals, or I guess your in-division rivals, this would be the guy. Again, I highly doubt Clowney would come to San Francisco. I think he wants to go play somewhere else that'll pay him a ton of money. But if you just want to say screw it and don't sign any of your guys and just bring in one big-name free agent, Clowney definitely is that guy. He's not going to be franchise tagged. Seattle promised they would not franchise tag him, so he is going to be on the open market, but he's more of the top-of-the-line defensive ends. But again, don't sign Arik Armstead, you go ahead and take a look at Jadeveon Clowney. I don't want to see those comments down below saying, there's no way, why would we do that? Well, if you let go of Arik Armstead, you have a need at pass rusher, and you have a lot of extra free money because he's costing you, or would have cost you, $12 to $13 million a year, so you could throw that money at Jadeveon Clowney. That's why we're bringing it up right here. Moving on, Javon Hargrave is another D-line target, more of a run stuffer and a big man in the middle, but had 49 total pressures in 2019. Top 10 for a defensive tackle in the NFL. He's good against the pass, good against the run, and would be a lot cheaper than Arik Armstead. Again, Armstead walks means you probably couldn't afford to pay him because he already said he wants to stay in San Francisco, meaning got to get a cheaper option. And of course, that means you could get someone like Javon Hargrave, who again had a good 2019 and could be a good option for a lot less in terms of total money. How about another guy? Good option, needs to prove himself. How about the young Leonard Williams, who was traded from the Jets to the New York Giants at the trade deadline and is not going to re-sign, it looks like. 26 years old, another cheap addition who could bloom towards the latter part of his career, like a lot of former defensive linemen have done, where they start off slow, get with the right team, and eventually ball out. I could really see Leonard Williams playing very, very well for a San Francisco 49ers front four that has great pass rushers around him, meaning you don't have to, worry too much about getting his. He's going to have a lot of openings and one-on-ones playing in and alongside Nick Bosa and Dee Ford, so throw Leonard Williams on that list. And finally, if you wanted to go like mega cheap and just throw some money at a guy and pray that he turns out to be good, how about the former Falcon Vic Beasley, who played terrible in the first half of the year, but played very well in the second half of the season, 8.5 sacks, and could be a, veteran signing that gets some rotational stuff, just like the Eagles had with Chris Long. You can see something happening here with Vic Beasley as well. He maybe has 1 to 2 good years left, but I'm telling you, he played for $12.5 million last year in the final year of his deal in Atlanta. You get him for a lot cheaper than that, and could be a good addition just to have rotating in there alongside Ford and Nick Bosa as well. Other D linemen, we'll throw them up on the screen right now. Robert Quinn, Bud Dupree, and Ndamukong Suh. I really don't want to go after Ndamukong Suh. And Dante Fowler Jr. from our in-division rivals, the LA Rams. Although Fowler has hinted he wants to play for the Falcons, so we'll see what that means. But those are some other names you go ahead and throw on this D-line list if you were not to go ahead and sign back Arik Armstead. Here's a question. Do we need to get another D-end if Arik Armstead leaves? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section down below. And before we go on, Valentine's Day, we're still running that special, a couple of days away. Get something for your special someone. Chatsports.com/flowers, 15% off any order you do at Pro Flowers. You can spend $1,000. Still get 15% off. Get the smallest bouquet, 1 rose. Still get 15% off. Chatsports.com/flowers. Don't be the one that waits or does something lame. Get her flowers, because we know that everybody likes to get flowers on Valentine's Day. Finally, the other big need I have for our 49ers, we talked about this offensive line, because we don't know with the injuries how sustainable the O-line is going to be, and with Joe Staley being like 80 years old if he's going to play in 2020. So how about the number 1 O-line target, Anthony Castonzo, who is a very underrated tackle. He's better in pass protection than he is in run blocking, and he's 32 years old. So if you wanted to go ahead and find a slightly younger replacement for Joe Staley, Anthony could be one of those guys. Here's your current 49ers O-line depth chart if Staley's in there. Left tackle Staley, Tomlinson, Ricksburg, Person, and Mike McGlinchey, again, waiting on injuries to come back for a lot of those guys to be fully healthy. So you could go ahead and get an underrated tackle like him, or you get the best right tackle on the market and I guess move him over to left tackle, or, change some things around and get a guy like Jack Conklin, who's much better in run blocking than he is in pass protection, but still is the best right tackle in the league. Very young, drafted in 2016, and could be a very good addition to the 49er offensive line. Do a little poll here. Type C down below if you would want Conklin. Type S down below if you would want Staley. You probably should see a lot of S's, because if Staley wants to come back, we'll have him. But we just got to make sure he's not, riding off into the sunset after appearing in a Super Bowl. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Other O-line targets here, DJ Humphries was a 2015 first-round pick. He played in the division with the Arizona Cardinals. You could get him for cheap there on the offensive line. This is all if you were to lose Joe Staley. And some of the other offensive linemen here, obviously, see guys like Brandon Sheriff, Andrew Whitworth, and Darrell Williams. The O-line market is not that great, but these are the names that you'd be looking at if you wanted to go ahead and get an O-lineman. Do you guys think Joe Staley is going to retire? Type 1 down below for yes, type 2 down below for no. Let me know in the comment section down below. There we go, though. That's the point of this video. Again, I'm not saying we're going to get any of these guys. I'm saying that if you were not to re-sign Jimmie Ward, Emmanuel Sanders, or Arik Armstead, and then Joe Staley retired, you would need to go ahead and fill those gaps. Now, maybe you fill them in free agency, which is totally fine, or sorry, in the NFL draft, but if you wanted to go into free agency, these are the 15 most likely players to me that I did my research on and fit what the 49ers are trying to do at wide receiver, in the secondary, on the D-line, on the offensive line as well. How'd I do? Let me know in the comment section how I did down below. Would you take any of these guys? If any of these guys interest you, give us a thumbs up and go ahead and give me a comment which one you guys think would be the best pickup for our 49ers. All the time we have for today. For Chat Sports, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.